What if recognizing the 6 signs God is protecting you from a toxic family member is the key to embracing His divine guidance? Through distancing, clarity, and new opportunities, God reveals His care and shields you from harm while preparing you for greater growth and freedom. When God begins to protect you from toxic family influences, one of the most profound ways He works is by creating distance. This distance, though often uncomfortable at first, is an act of divine protection, carefully orchestrated to shield your peace and foster your growth. At times, this separation occurs in ways that seem coincidental or even painful, leaving you questioning why a cherished bond feels strained. However, this is not random. It is God's way of stepping in, often through circumstances beyond your control, to ensure your emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being are safeguarded. Consider, for instance, the gradual distancing that can happen when a family member begins to pull away without explanation. You may notice fewer calls, less involvement, or a decline in communication. Initially, this might feel like rejection, causing confusion and even sorrow. You might wonder if you did something wrong or if the relationship can ever be repaired. Yet over time, clarity sets in. As the space grows, you begin to see how their absence reduces the stress and emotional toll you are bearing in their presence. It becomes evident that this separation, though unplanned and painful, is God's way of allowing you to breathe, reflect, and regain your footing. Another example of God creating distance can be found in situations where external circumstances force separation. This might come through a job relocation, a major life event, or an unexpected conflict. These moments can feel disorienting, as if life is unraveling without your consent. For example, imagine a scenario where you have to move to another city for a new job. And this move naturally places physical distance between you and a family member who consistently drains your energy. While it may feel bittersweet, you soon realize how much lighter you feel, how your sense of peace begins to grow, and how you start to flourish in the absence of their constant negativity. At times, this distance is created through no action on your part, making it clear that God is orchestrating these changes for your protection. Perhaps there is a family member whose behavior has been toxic, whether through manipulation, constant criticism, or emotional withdrawal. Over time, their actions lead to a rift, something said in a heated argument, or a situation that highlights their disregard for your well-being. As painful as this moment is, it serves as a catalyst for separation, providing you with an opportunity to step back and evaluate the relationship. Through this process, you might notice how much of your energy was consumed by trying to maintain a connection that was ultimately harming you. God's intervention in these moments can feel harsh, but His intention is never to harm. Instead, He seeks to protect your peace and create the space needed for healing and growth. By trusting this process, you begin to see the hand of God working in ways you could not have orchestrated yourself. The initial pain of separation gives way to a sense of peace and clarity. Over time, you start to understand that this distance was never meant to hurt you, but to protect you and bring you closer to the wholeness God desires for you. One of the most challenging aspects of God's protection from a toxic family member is the revelation of uncomfortable truths about their behavior. This process is not only painful, but also transformative, as it forces you to confront the reality of a relationship you may have been trying to protect or rationalize for years. God, in His infinite wisdom, does not want His children to remain in cycles of hurt or confusion. Instead, He sheds light on the truth, allowing you to see clearly the patterns, actions, and intentions of the individual whose influence may be harming you. These revelations often come through specific situations that are impossible to ignore. For instance, a family member you have always trusted might betray you during a moment of vulnerability. Imagine relying on them during a financial crisis, only to find that instead of offering support, they exploit your situation for their gain or use it as a means to criticize and belittle you. While such behavior is deeply hurtful, it also serves as a wake-up call. It forces you to reevaluate the trust and respect you have extended to them, helping you realize that their actions stem from selfishness rather than genuine care. Another way God reveals the truth is through recurring patterns of behavior that become increasingly evident over time. Perhaps you notice that this person consistently dismisses your feelings or invalidates your achievements. For example, after sharing a personal milestone, they respond with indifference or even subtle criticism, downplaying your success. While you might have previously brushed off such moments as unintentional or isolated, their repetition makes it clear that their behavior is not supportive, but deliberately undermining. This recognition, though painful, is a vital step toward understanding the true nature of the relationship. In some cases, God's revelations come through the words or actions of others. A close friend, counselor, or even a stranger may point out dynamics you had overlooked. For instance, they might gently question why you tolerate certain behaviors or share insights that resonate deeply. These moments can feel like divine interventions, as they bring to light aspects of the relationship that you had been too emotionally involved to see. God's use of external voices to highlight the truth is a testament to His care and His desire to guide you toward clarity and healing. These revelations are not meant to destroy your relationship with the family member, but to protect your heart and mind. By exposing their true character, God equips you with the discernment to make informed decisions about how to proceed. You may realize that maintaining the same level of closeness or dependence is no longer healthy or sustainable. For example, after recognizing a pattern of manipulation or control, you might decide to set boundaries that limit their access to your emotional and mental space. This does not mean severing ties entirely, but rather creating a framework that prioritizes your well-being and allows for healthier interactions. The process of facing these truths often involves significant emotional turmoil. It is natural to feel betrayed, disappointed, or even guilty as you come to terms with the reality of the relationship. You might wrestle with questions like, why didn't I see this sooner? Or, could I have done something differently? These feelings are valid, but they are also an opportunity for growth. God uses this discomfort to strengthen your reliance on Him, teaching you to seek His wisdom and comfort in navigating the complexities of family dynamics. As you continue to uncover the truth, you begin to see the relationship in a new light. Behaviors that once seemed confusing or contradictory start to make sense when viewed through the lens of God's revelations. You may recognize that their actions were not a reflection of your worth, but a projection of their own insecurities or unresolved issues. For example, a family member who frequently criticizes your choices may be struggling with their own feelings of inadequacy or regret. While this understanding does not excuse their behavior, it provides context that can help you approach the situation with compassion and clarity. The revelations about a toxic family member are a reflection of God's love and care for you. He sees the bigger picture and knows what you need to flourish. While the process may feel overwhelming, it is a testament to His faithfulness and His desire to protect you from harm. By trusting in His plan, you can navigate these revelations with courage and grace, knowing that He is leading you toward a brighter and healthier future. Through this journey, you not only gain a deeper understanding of the relationship, but also a greater appreciation for God's wisdom and provision in your life. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful yet challenging steps in fostering peace, especially when it involves family members. At first, this process feels unnatural, even wrong, because society often teaches us to prioritize family above all else. The deeply rooted sense of obligation, coupled with the emotional ties shared over years, can make the idea of boundaries seem like an act of betrayal. However, boundaries are not about cutting people out of your life. They're about creating a safe space for your emotional and mental well-being to thrive, a space where peace can grow and take root. Imagine a scenario where a family member frequently criticizes your choices, whether in your career, personal relationships, or lifestyle. Their comments may feel suffocating, leaving you anxious or questioning your self-worth. For years, you might have tolerated this behavior, rationalizing it as their way of showing concern. But over time, the weight of their words becomes unbearable. At this point, God may gently nudge you to set boundaries, even though it feels difficult. Perhaps you decide to limit the amount of time you spend with them, or choose to address their comments directly by saying, "I value your opinion, but I need you to respect my decisions." Initially, this creates discomfort. You might feel guilt for speaking up, and they might react negatively, accusing you of being ungrateful or distant. Yet as days and weeks pass, you begin to notice a profound shift within yourself. Without the constant barrage of negativity, your thoughts become clearer, your confidence grows, and a sense of inner calm takes its place. Setting boundaries can also take the form of saying no, an act that many find particularly difficult when it comes to family. Consider a situation where a relative constantly asks for your time or resources, expecting you to prioritize their needs above your own. Perhaps they expect you to drop everything to help them with errands or financial support, even when it disrupts your life. For years, you may have complied, fearing their disappointment or anger. But eventually you realize that their demands are not only draining you, but also preventing you from pursuing the things God has called you to focus on. In these moments, setting boundaries might look like saying, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you this time," and holding firm despite their reaction. While this can initially lead to conflict or feelings of guilt, the peace that follows is undeniable. You begin to reclaim your time, energy, and emotional capacity, allowing you to invest in relationships and activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Boundaries are not a rejection of love, but an affirmation of it. They create a framework where relationships can be healthier and more respectful. For example, a family member who frequently brings up past mistakes during conversations might not even realize the impact of their words. Addressing this behavior by setting a boundary, such as asking them to avoid certain topics, can lead to greater understanding. While their initial reaction might be defensive, it often opens the door to more meaningful communication. Over time, you may find that the relationship improves, not because you've distanced yourself completely, but because the boundaries you set have established mutual respect. Fostering peace through boundaries is a journey of trust. It requires faith that God is leading you to make decisions that honor Him and protect your well-being. It involves letting go of the need for approval from others and leaning into the assurance that God's approval is all you need. While the process may be challenging, the rewards are profound. You discover a life where peace is not contingent on external circumstances, but flows from the confidence that you are living within the framework God has designed for you. This peace is a gift, one that allows you to navigate relationships with wisdom, grace, and a heart aligned with His purpose. Through boundaries, God creates a space where your spirit can flourish, your mind can rest, and your heart can find the tranquility it has been longing for. When God begins to create distance between you and a toxic family member, it often feels like a painful loss. Yet in His infinite wisdom, this separation is not meant to leave you empty, but to open the door to new opportunities that you may not have been able to see or pursue before. These opportunities often redirect your focus toward personal and spiritual growth, allowing you to flourish in ways you never thought possible. God's plan for your life is never to leave you stagnant or confined by unhealthy relationships, but to lead you into a season of abundance, healing, and discovery. Consider the example of someone who has spent years feeling weighed down by a family member's negativity or controlling behavior. This relationship, though familiar, has stifled their ability to grow, leaving them feeling trapped and drained. When God steps in to create distance, whether through circumstances or personal decisions, the initial feeling might be one of confusion or grief. However, as time passes, they begin to notice how much space has been freed in their life. Space to pursue dreams, build new relationships, or focus on their spiritual journey. Perhaps they have always wanted to explore a creative passion, but lack the energy or confidence due to the toxic influence in their life. With this newfound freedom, they take the first steps toward that passion, and in doing so, discover a sense of fulfillment and purpose they never imagined. God also redirects focus by opening opportunities for deeper spiritual connection. When the emotional and mental clutter of a toxic relationship is removed, it creates a quietness where His voice can be heard more clearly. In the absence of constant negativity or manipulation, you may find yourself drawn closer to God, seeking His guidance and strength in ways you didn't before. Imagine someone who has been caught in a cycle of seeking validation from a family member who never offers it. Once that toxic dynamic is removed, they begin to realize that the approval they've been chasing can only be found in God. This realization leads them to spend more time in prayer, scripture, and reflection, building a relationship with God that brings lasting peace and clarity. These new opportunities are not always dramatic or immediate. Often they unfold gradually in small yet meaningful ways. For instance, someone who distances themselves from a toxic family member may find that they have more energy and focus for their career. Without the constant emotional drain, they begin to excel in their work, opening doors to promotions or new projects that align with their skills and passions. Similarly, they might find themselves reconnecting with old friends or building new relationships that bring joy and encouragement. These connections, which may have been neglected due to the demands of the toxic relationship, now have room to grow and thrive, enriching their life in ways they didn't expect. One powerful aspect of this redirection is the clarity it brings. When you are no longer consumed by the stress and turmoil of a harmful relationship, you begin to see your life, goals, and relationships with fresh eyes. This clarity allows you to make decisions that align with your values and God's purpose for you. For example, you might realize that a particular career path, lifestyle choice, or relationship is no longer serving you, and take steps to make changes that bring greater alignment and satisfaction. In this way, God not only creates space for new opportunities, but also equips you with the discernment to recognize and embrace them. The new opportunities God introduces are not just about external changes, but about internal transformation. As you embrace the paths He places before you, you grow in faith, resilience, and self-awareness. You learn to trust His timing and His ways, knowing that every door He opens is an invitation to experience His goodness and grace. These opportunities are a reflection of His love, a reminder that He sees your struggles and desires for you to live a life of abundance and joy. Through this process, you come to understand that even in the midst of pain and uncertainty, God is always at work, leading you toward the fullness of His promises. One of the most transformative aspects of God's protection is the strengthening of spiritual discernment. This process, while deeply personal, allows you to see harmful patterns in relationships with greater clarity, helping you avoid future toxicity and make choices that align with God's will. As you distance yourself from a toxic family member, your spiritual awareness sharpens, enabling you to recognize behaviors, attitudes, and dynamics that previously went unnoticed or were rationalized. This growth in discernment is both a gift and a tool, equipping you to navigate challenging relationships with wisdom and grace. Initially, stepping away from a toxic family member may feel disorienting. Their influence may have been so pervasive that you struggled to see the full extent of its impact. For years, you might have normalized behaviors like manipulation, criticism, or passive aggressiveness, viewing them as unavoidable aspects of family life. However, as God creates space and quiets the emotional noise, you begin to see these actions for what they truly are. Imagine someone whose family member consistently undermined their confidence through subtle but persistent remarks about their abilities or choices. While they may have brushed off these comments as harmless or unintentional in the past, distance brings clarity. They realize these remarks were not simply opinions, but patterns of behavior designed to control or diminish them. This newfound clarity extends beyond the specific relationship at hand. As your discernment grows, you start to recognize similar patterns in other areas of your life, whether in friendships, work relationships, or even within yourself. For example, someone who has become more aware of a family member's manipulative tendencies may begin to notice similar behaviors in a colleague who constantly shifts blame or takes advantage of their kindness. Strengthened by their spiritual awareness, they feel empowered to set boundaries or address the issue directly, preventing further harm. This ability to identify and respond to toxicity is one of the greatest blessings of discernment, as it protects your heart and mind from being ensnared in harmful dynamics. Discernment also helps you understand the underlying motives behind toxic behaviors. Often toxic actions stem from unresolved pain, insecurity, or fear within the other person. Recognizing this does not excuse their behavior, but allows you to approach the situation with compassion and wisdom. For instance, you might realize that a family member's harsh criticism is a reflection of their own self-doubt or unmet expectations. While this understanding doesn't mean you must tolerate their actions, it does help you avoid internalizing their negativity as a reflection of your worth. Instead, you can respond with grace, maintaining your peace while setting firm boundaries. Another aspect of discernment is the ability to detect when reconciliation is possible and when it is not. There may be moments when a family member shows genuine remorse or a desire to change. Discernment helps you evaluate the sincerity of their efforts and determine whether rebuilding the relationship is in alignment with God's will. For example, after a period of separation, a toxic family member might reach out, expressing regret for their past actions. Without discernment, it can be tempting to immediately restore the relationship out of a sense of obligation or hope for change. However, spiritual awareness allows you to assess whether their words are supported by consistent actions and whether reestablishing closeness would lead to healing or further harm. This heightened discernment also strengthens your relationship with God. As you grow more attuned to His voice, you begin to see how He has been guiding you all along, even in difficult circumstances. You might notice how He brought certain truths to light at the perfect time, or how He placed people in your life to offer wisdom and support. For instance, someone navigating the aftermath of a toxic relationship might recall a sermon, scripture, or conversation that resonated deeply, providing clarity and encouragement when they needed it most. These moments reaffirm God's presence and His desire to lead you toward wholeness. The strengthening of discernment is a testament to God's faithfulness and His desire to protect and grow you. While the process of recognizing and addressing toxic patterns can be painful, it is also profoundly liberating. As you walk in this newfound awareness, you are better equipped to navigate the complexities of relationships with wisdom, courage, and grace. You come to see discernment not as a burden, but as a gift, one that allows you to live in alignment with God's will, free from the weight of toxicity and open to the fullness of His blessings. Through discernment, God equips you to face the challenges of life with clarity and strength, confident in His guidance and His unwavering love. When God removes a toxic family member from your life, it can feel like a void has been left behind. The closeness you once shared, even if fraught with challenges, was still a part of your life and identity. However, God never takes something away without providing something better in its place. One of the most beautiful signs of His protection is how He fills that void with uplifting and nurturing relationships. These new connections serve not only as a source of encouragement and healing, but also as a reminder of His faithfulness and love. Imagine someone who, after years of enduring manipulation or criticism from a family member, begins to experience life without that constant negativity. At first, they might feel isolated or unsure of how to rebuild their support system. But over time, God begins to bring people into their life who genuinely care about their well-being. Perhaps they join a church group where they meet individuals who encourage their spiritual growth. Or maybe they reconnect with an old friend who offers a listening ear and helps them regain confidence. These relationships feel different. They are marked by mutual respect, kindness, and a sense of safety that may have been missing in their previous dynamic. Slowly, the emptiness left by the toxic relationship is replaced by connections that bring joy and hope. One of the ways God introduces these new relationships is through opportunities that arise when you step away from toxicity. For example, someone who decides to limit contact with a harmful family member might find themselves with more time and emotional energy to invest in positive activities. They may take up a hobby, volunteer, or attend community events, all of which create spaces where meaningful connections can flourish. In these new environments, they encounter people who share their values and interests, leading to friendships and bonds that are life-giving. This shift is not accidental. It is part of God's plan to surround you with the right people at the right time. These new relationships often serve a dual purpose. They help you heal while also encouraging your growth. For instance, someone who has felt unsupported by their family might find themselves in a group of mentors who recognize their potential and push them to achieve their goals. These mentors might provide advice, resources, or simply words of affirmation that help them move forward. Similarly, a supportive friendship might encourage someone to explore their faith more deeply, reminding them that their worth comes from God and not from the opinions of others. Through these connections, God not only restores what was lost, but also propels you toward greater purpose. Another powerful aspect of these uplifting relationships is how they restore trust and confidence. Toxic family dynamics often leave individuals feeling guarded or hesitant to open up, fearing rejection or judgment. But the people God places in your life during this season are intentional. They reflect His love and grace, showing you that not all relationships are meant to harm. For example, someone who has been hurt by a family member's betrayal might be wary of forming close bonds, yet through consistent acts of kindness and reliability, a new friend or partner might help them rebuild their sense of trust. These experiences serve as reminders that God is always working to heal the wounds of the past and prepare you for healthier, more fulfilling connections. These new connections are more than just replacements for what was lost. They are evidence of God's redemptive power and His desire for you to thrive. By surrounding you with people who uplift and inspire you, He is showing you that life is not meant to be lived in isolation or constant struggle. Instead, it is meant to be filled with relationships that bring joy, peace, and purpose. Through these connections, you experience a glimpse of the abundant life that God promises, one where His love is reflected in every interaction and every bond. These relationships are a testament to His faithfulness, reminding you that even in the midst of pain and loss, He is always working to bring restoration and wholeness to your life. God's protection often requires us to make difficult decisions and endure temporary discomfort, but His guidance is never without purpose. The process of distancing yourself from toxic family influences may feel painful, even isolating, yet it is a critical step toward the healing and peace that God desires for you. Through this journey, He not only shields you from harm, but also transforms your life by creating space for new opportunities, meaningful relationships, and personal growth. Trusting in His plan means recognizing that every challenge is part of a greater purpose, a purpose rooted in His love and desire to see you flourish. The key to embracing God's protection is faith in His wisdom and timing. What may feel like a loss in the moment is often the foundation for a season of restoration and renewal. As you release what no longer serves you, you gain clarity, strength, and the ability to walk into the life God has prepared for you. His protection is not about removing people or situations to punish you. It is about positioning you for something greater, something aligned with His divine purpose. This process not only fosters inner peace, but also strengthens your relationship with Him, allowing you to experience the freedom and joy that come from living in His will. Ultimately, God's protection is a reflection of His unwavering love for you. He sees the bigger picture and works all things together for your good, even when the path is unclear. By trusting His plan, you open the door to a life filled with healing, purpose, and the fulfillment of His promises. In His hands, even the most painful moments are transformed into opportunities for growth and renewal, reminding you that His ways are always higher, His timing always perfect, and His love always sufficient.